What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In the last episode on my Mk4 Fiesta van, it was dead, but I brought it back into life by fitting a new engine, which was a lot of graft, but it is now running again. The only problem is it runs out of MOT in a couple of days' time. Now, when I took my Mk4 Fiesta van for the MOT last year, it did pass, but it wasn't without its advisories. Now, the main advisories being on the front lower arms, one of the pins had slight play in it, and also one of the dust covers was starting to deteriorate. But also the rear tyres were low on treads and they were starting to crack. Up until now, I haven't actually done anything to them advisories because they've been all good. The tyres have stayed legal and the front suspension I haven't worried about too much. But seeing as it's coming up to its next MOT, I'm going to be addressing those faults in this video, as well as changing some other parts to keep the van going for another year. Now, just before I start to strip apart the front suspension, I have got the new tyres here. Now, these are Toyo tyres and they're Nano Energy Freeze. Now, the reason I picked this brand is because they are fitted to the front of the Fiesta van. Now, these were fairly new when I purchased the van. I think the bloke had put them on just before he sold the van, and yeah, they've still got about 6mm tread on them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap the fronts, put them on the rear, and then I'm going to put the new tyres on the front, because these rear ones have definitely seen better days. They're starting to crack. They're on about 3-4mm now, and yeah, I'm just going to get them changed. So without further ado, let's get the Mk4 Fiesta van jacked up, get them wheels swapped over, and I can show you guys the parts that have just arrived. And would you look at that, the guys over at AUTODOC have sent us out another couple of care packages, so let's find out what's in these boxes. All right, let's have a little rummage through here. So I have got a pollen filter, air filter and an oil filter. We do also have 5 litres of oil, Shell oil, and we do also have the extra one because the Fiesta van takes 5 litres. I've also got 2 track rod ends, and I do also have hiding in the corner here 2 anti-roll bars. Get that one out of the way, and here in the second box we've got 2 lower arms. Not that you can really see them at the moment because they're still in the packaging. Now, as I said earlier, on the past MOT I had a few advisories on these, so I thought I'd get a pair of them and sling them on the Mk4 Fiesta van. And there we have the care package all unboxed from AUTODOC. As I say, I'm going to be fitting the majority of these parts to the Fiesta van in today's video. I've just jumped in the van quickly because I want to show you guys how to navigate the website. It really is this simple. You've got to add a car, you can just enter your registration number. Like I've done, it will come up straight away. You can search for what you want. Let's do, I don't know, front shock absorber. As you can see, you've got plenty of brands at the top here. You click the one you want. You say add to the basket. Once we've added all the stuff we want to our basket, then we can go to the checkout, scroll down. You can add my exclusive coupon code, which is MK4 Enter that and get a cheeky little discount on your order. It really is that simple to navigate the AUTODOC app. They stock over 4 million parts at affordable prices. So whether your motor needs a bit of TLC or it's got the MOT coming up, get over to AUTODOC and order your parts today. Don't forget to use the discount code MK4 at checkout for exclusive discount. Anyway, I think it's about time we started to fit some of these parts to the van. Just about to start to strip apart the suspension on the offside front. Now, I had a lot of comments in the engine swap video about using a kneeling pad. I do have one, I do use it, but admittedly not as much as I should. So I'm going to make sure in this video I protect my knees, because I do really appreciate all the advice and all the genuine comments, because I always read through them and I try to reply to them all. So yeah, kneeling pad is going to be used in this video for sure. And just before I start, I'm just going to lubricate all the nuts and bolts to make it a little bit easier for them to come off, because no doubt they haven't been changed for quite a while and they're going to be on there and rusted on quite a bit. So first thing we need to do is crack off the track rod ends from the track rod. There we go. Right, that's now nice and loose, so I can get on the end of that and whiz the trap rod end off. Now, to get the trap rod end off, we're not going to be whacking it up like this. We're going to be whacking it on the side, because it's got a taper on it. And all that'll do is just help release it. I've seen so many people whacking it up, and it just really infuriates me. Anyway, let's start to count off and unwind this trap rod end. 1, 2, 3, 10, 11. Now that's all off, it's given us a little bit of room. I would now try and attempt to take the link off, but because we're removing the lower arm, I'm going to remove that first, and then I can tackle the link, because they're the nuts that are most likely to be seized on. Just undoing the bottom ball joint. So Torx 45 on one end, and then a 17mm on the other side. Get this whizzed off. Lovely jubbly. All we've got to undo now is this bolt and this bolt over here for the lower arm. On one end is 15 and the other end is a 18. Right, let's see if it wants to come out. Been in there for a while. Now for this kiddie, the one that no one likes removing because they're normally seized on. So the top one's never normally too bad because you've got quite a lot of room to work with. You can get the blowtorch in there, you can get the angle grinder in there, but that bottom one, that is normally a little bit more tricky. But anyway, I'm going to see if this one comes off the gun, and I'm going to have to take this one off with the ratchet. But yeah, let's find out. Nope, spinning already. Got the mole grips on the back, let's see if that makes any difference. Yeah, there we go, nice and easy. Right, let's give this one a go. See if it's going to treat me just as nicely. I think we're in luck here, seems to be holding with the mole grips. Oh, would you look at that? Well, I won't be getting the angle grinder out for this side. Right, so I've just removed all of these suspension components that we're going to be changing, and I've got them all laid out on the floor here. It's only just sort of dawning on me how bad these lower arms really were. Now look at this rear bush. Look at that, that is really, really bad. Deteriorated, cracking. Now it isn't as bad as some of the lower arms I've changed at work before when the pin actually comes out of the bush. But yeah, that's pretty shocking and definitely needed replacing. As for the bottom ball joint, the dust cover has actually come away from the arm, so that would be a straight failure now anyway. So yeah, looking at the new one, I can't wait to fit this. I've just been marrying them up, making sure that it's the right shape and it's all going to bolt in nicely. Now, I've got a question for you guys. Does anyone else do this? So I always keep the nuts and bolts that come off the old parts, because I've got new nylon locking nuts for the others, but these have got a special place in the garage. And that special place is just up here. Bung them in there, you never know when you're going to need them. Anyway, I'm going to get these new parts fitted, starting with this lower arm, and then I'm going to fit the link and the trap rod ends. I've given this section in here a little clean up because it was absolutely filled with mud. I think this must have lived on a farm for a little bit of its life once upon a time, as you can see from all this stuff I've just got out. Anyway, let's get this new lower arm fitted. That's the lower arm on. I'm now going to fit up the new link. This is so satisfying because I have looked at these lower arms and the links for quite a while and thought, you know what, these really, really do need changing, but finally I'm getting it done. Right, let's put the trap rod end on. Lucky I double checked this with the old one because I originally had the other side out, but as you can see, these are both exactly the same. They are identical. So yeah, very happy. Let's put this on 11 turns. 1, 2, 10, 11. And that as well. Well, there we have it. I've had a little clean up, and that is the lower arm fitted, link and the track rod ends. Really happy with them. Now, I did just want to mention, you would have seen me gun up a couple of the bolts. Some of them are done by ratchet, but when I gun up any bolts, I make sure it's on the lowest setting, because what I will be doing and what I always do is I go over and I make sure I tighten all of these up with a bar, because there's nothing better than belts and braces. Anyway, that's this side done for the time being until I come to sort of bar everything up like I was just talking about. Now, if we make our way over to the other side of the Fiesta, we have still got the exact same parts to change over here: lower arm, link and track rod ends. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on time lapse, and I'll catch up with you guys once I've got all these old parts off and we can compare and see how bad this side is. As you can see, I've now stripped out the suspension components that I'm changing on the near side of the van, and I've got the old ones and the new ones next to each other. Now, there is one thing that I've spotted. So this is the old lower arm and this is a new lower arm. As you can see, this is sort of lipped over. As you can see, it lips over, and you've got this lip of metal at the bottom, and it's just sort of quite smooth at the top here. But this other one, I'm pretty sure it's the right one, but it sort of lips up, if that makes sense, and it lips down. So it's like two pieces of metal to make this one bit. So yeah, this lower arm's made from like one piece of metal, and this one's made from two bits. Not really much to argue about, to be honest, but the only thing I would say is both of the lower arms come from exactly the same company. I think it's called Ridex or something like that. So you'd think they'd both be made exactly the same. And yeah, this isn't doing my OCD any sort of good, because yeah, this one doesn't look like the other side, but having a look at it, it does sort of look like it's exactly the right one with the mounting points. But just the way it's made, it's different, which is quite annoying because the part numbers are exactly the same, but hopefully it fits up there. Just me being me, to be honest, I'd like a matching set of lower arms. But yeah, I'm gonna have a little clean up and then we'll get the new parts fitted. Now that I'm done with the suspension, it almost looks like I've taken a bit of a step back, but there's good reason for this. Basically, after I'd done the engine swap and I'd changed the cam belt and all of that, I just didn't put the covers back on. Main reason being, if there was any teething issues, then I could get to everything nice and easily and diagnose any issues. But now that it's all good, I can put the covers back on, and yeah, basically there's three covers. You've got this bottom bit, this top section, and then there's one bit over there which covers the injection pump. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put them all back on, and then I can refit the engine mount that I've had to remove, and then I can also refit the aux belt. I might be able to do a really cool transition here. And just like that, all of the timing covers are now bolted back together and on the engine. Now, there is one other thing that I'd like to add to this side of the engine, and that is a new auxiliary belt. If you guys have heard this thing starting up, it's squealing a little bit, so I've been over to Bennett's and I've purchased one of these. And if we look just up here, I have also changed the idler for one that has less play. I had one knocking around, and I felt my previous one and it had a little bit of play on it, but if we feel this one, that has got no play in it at all. As you can all see, the new auxiliary belt has now been fitted and adjusted up. So what I'm going to do is get up, and we shouldn't have no more pesky squeakiness when we start up the van. Let's give it a whirl. Lovely jubbly. There we go, just the noise of a good old diesel ticking along, but no squeakiness from the auxiliary belt. I'm calling that another job well done. And just before I put the wheels back on, I'm going to fit this tiny little under tray. Basically just protects the auxiliary side of the engine. So yeah, I'll get that on and then I'll put the wheels back on. Okay, so we are back on the ground. It does look a little bit chavvy because the hubcaps aren't on, and that's because I'm just about to torque up the wheel nuts. They are 95 Newton meters for each wheel nut. Just going to go around, do all 4 wheels, and then we'll whack the hubcaps back on. The Fiesta van is now back on its wheels, all the suspension has been nipped up and the wheels torqued. I've got a couple of filters to change now, but I'm just going to explain a little starting issue that I had with the van. After I changed the engine the other month, it ran perfectly. I couldn't have been happier with the way it was running, but the starting of the van was, let's just say, a little bit lazy. It would just go da 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 da, and just probably for about 15-20 seconds, and I wasn't really happy with that. I knew there was something wrong. So my first fault was the timing on the injection pump. So, well, the fuel pump is direct injection and you can tweak it ever so slightly. So I played around with that, but no real change. Then I started scratching my head. I thought, God, what's it going to be now? Is it going to be the injectors? Is it going to be the filter? And yeah, I just started to just go round and round in circles in my brain again. But I stuck to my guns and I thought, you know what, I haven't changed the fuel filter. And I now remember when I was taking the old engine out, I was actually sort of tugging on the filter slightly, and I noticed the smallest hairline crack at the top of the filter where one of the hoses sort of goes into it. Anyway, I've changed the filter on the van and it starts first time. There's no hesitation, it's bang on the key, and I could not be happier. Anyway, whilst we're on the subject of servicing the van, I do have my filters here from AUTODOC. I've got an air filter and a pollen filter. I did also get a oil filter and some fresh oil, which are sitting in the boot of the van. Now the reason I'm not changing that just yet is because I have just done an oil and filter on this when I changed the engine out. Anyway, these 2 filters are really simple to change, so let's get them done. Air filters here, you just got a couple of 8mm that surrounds the housing. I'll go this way. Now, this is only serviced the other year, so yeah, as expected, not too bad, but I'm definitely going to be changing it. There we go, new and old. Let's get that one thrown over there and get the new one placed in, and we'll get this lid put back on. Next up, we've got the pollen filter, just situated up here in front of the scuttle on the passenger side. Arguably easier than the air filter. It literally just them 2 little clips you can do with your fingers, and it should just slide out. There we go. Cool. I don't think this was changed last year. There's loads of leaves in there. And that is a new and old one next to each other. This one looks worse because it's a charcoal filter. I never really seem to notice a difference. It's meant to reduce cabin smell from the outside smell coming in. But yeah, as you can see, that's clogged up with loads of debris. So definitely needed changing. I'm just going to slot the new one in now in the right angle. And it just slots in. There you go. Just sits there. Flap that back over. Clip them 2 on, job's a good one. I do actually have another couple of parts to change, and that being a full set of wiper blades. Basically, where the van has been sitting for quite some time, where I was changing the engine, these wiper blades have definitely seen better days. Both of them are starting to split, and I've also got one for the rear as well. So all I'm going to do, quickly get them changed. Oh, that's 1. That's 2. Luckily for me, both the wiper blades are exactly the same size, so a little bit easier for me. Just got to try and get them on now. God, they're not fiddly, these. There we go, that's 1 on. There we go. Now that I've changed the wipers, I better check that the washers work. Even though it's not really part of the MOT, I'm just going to check all of the fluid levels. The coolant does need topping up a little bit, and I'm also going to put some more screen wash in the bottle. Luckily, I've got some genuine Ford screen wash here. Shout out to Steve once again. And there we go, guys, the seat cover's on, and that only means one thing. We're just around the corner from the MOT station. I ran through all of the lights and that on the Fiesta van. I did actually have a number plate light out, so I've just replaced that. It's all running perfectly, and we're just going to make our way to the MOT station now and see if we can get a 12-month ticket on the Fiesta van. I have now got a bit of paper in my hand and it does say pass on it, which I'm really happy about. Now, I always say this in the videos where I take my vehicles for MOT. I'm actually an MOT tester, but the company I work for doesn't allow you to MOT your own personal vehicles, which is fair enough. So I always head down to my local MOT garage. I know quite a few of them there now, and yeah, they are good as gold. But as I say that, the MOT certificate doesn't come without a couple of advisories, and the first one begins at the back of the Fiesta. So that advisory is for the rear number plate. It says it's deteriorated but not likely to be misread, and I completely agree with that. I would advise my number plate. As you can see, it's just starting to deteriorate, but you can still read what every letter and number is on there perfectly. So yeah, definitely a advisory that I would have slapped on there as well. So that was the first advisory, and I do have 3 in total. The other 2 relate to the rear tyres, which, if I'm completely honest, I don't think I would advise them at all. So the advisory is tyre worn close to legal limit / worn on the edge, near side rear and offside rear. Now, as you can see, they are perfect. I would say they've probably got about 5mm across the treads, and yeah, they're nowhere near close at all. And the edges aren't even worn there. They're perfectly sort of even. One side hasn't got camber wear or anything. So yeah, I'm not quite sure where that advisory has come from. And here is the offside rear. As you can see, they almost look new, and that's because they were last year, and I haven't hardly done any miles on them. So yeah, they've still got 5mm across the whole surface of that tread. So that is the 3 advisories that I've got on the MOT certificate. Obviously, I'll take it with a pinch of salt. I'm not going to sort of moan and complain about the rear tyres being advised. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to be changing them because they're absolutely perfect. And yeah, as for the number plate, I do have some plans in place to replace both the front and back number plate, but you have to wait for another video to see that. Anyway, I'm just glad that the Fiesta van is back on the road and has got a valid MOT, because whilst I was doing all of that work, it did actually expire middle of June. So yeah, now we're right at the start of July and I've got a fresh 12-month ticket on it, and I just can't wait to start putting more miles on the Fiesta van. Considering we changed the engine not long ago, I just can't wait for this to be my daily again. And as for future plans and videos for the Fiesta van, we do have quite a few in the pipeline, and the first one being getting it tidied up bodywork wise a little bit. So yeah, that'll be coming very shortly to the channel. And one last thing I'd just like to say is a massive shout out to this video's sponsor, AUTODOC, and remember to use Mk4 at checkout for 5% off your full order. Right, let's round things up. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, and if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel to see more. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, I'll see you guys later.